And we're live. Hey, everyone from across Canada and around the world. This is Lev from Technische Canada. We have an all-star panel with the usuals, James, Mel, and Mike from Canada. We have two very special guests today. Anita, who's our marketing manager from the DACH region, which is Deutschland, Austria, and Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And Mr. Stefan, sir, who is owner of Laser Tattoo out of Stuttgart. It's a Friday, right?
It's Friday and it's late.
So I guess, Anita, we can start with you if you want to give us a brief intro about yourself.
Getting feedback.
Yeah, somebody's mic is
everything.
I think it was James. Yeah, I muted him. James, just unmute yourself if you want to go back in. Sorry, Anita. If you want to give us a brief intro, first of all, tell us where you're located.
Well, hi, everybody. My name is Anita Meyer. I come from Austria, and I'm located in Machtrenk. It's the headquarter office of Trotec International, and I'm responsible for the DACH marketing region, DACH region marketing, here from Austria.
Awesome. And I mean, you're fairly new to Trotec. How long have you been with the company?
Well, it's only been 7 or 8 months right now. I'm still learning every day, and I love the color red. So I really enjoy being with Trotec. This is one of my, it was so much feeling for me to join this company, and so far everything is perfect for me. So thanks for having me with you today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Stefan, so if you want to tell us where you're from, where you're located in, and maybe a brief history about the business, I guess.
Yeah, my name is Steven. I'm the owner of Laser Tattoo. I started selling Apple hardware software in 2003. In 2007, unfortunately, there was less and less sales, and I had come up with something to win the customers back. And at this time, Apple offered one-line engraving with 20 characters. And I had the idea that I can, to engrave iPods on the entire surface.
Oh, right. A lot of that on your website.
Online, and I had the idea to engrave it entire the surfaces. And so I bought a 10-year-old used laser machine from Universal, and the sales grow very quickly up. And over the time, I got a lot of inquiries whether I could engrave this or that. So in 2009, I decided to rename the company before in Laser Tattoo, and so I do engraving everything.
Perfect. And sorry, which location are you located in? Are you at Stuttgart?
Stuttgart, near Stuttgart, Ludwigsburg. It's about 20 minutes from Stuttgart in the south of Germany.
Awesome. And so how many laser machines do you have now currently? And what kind are they? You don't have to tell us competitor brands necessarily. Maybe what Trotecs would you have so far?
I only have Trotec now. Since 2009, I got the Speedy 300. I got a 2-speed marker 300, about there. Mm-hmm. And 360 flex, and the special one, speed marker 700 CL. I don't know what's the name.
So you got like a CO2
Galva system.
Oh, very cool.
Got it since last year in June, and that's. So
you're a busy guy, basically.
What?
So you got all the good stuff.
Good stuff. Yeah, it's I'm already prepared for everything to engrave.
So you're telling us earlier that I mean, right now it's been extremely busy for you with Mother's Day.
Yes.
So what kind of products? So just for the people out there, you're not doing any kind of personal protective equipment because you basically saying you don't have time right now for that, right? It's more just the products that you're already doing. So what kind of items in general would you do for Mother's Day?
For Mother's Day, just gifts. There's a wooden chopper. Everything it's based on all wooden things, cups of tea or coffee cups with personalizing, and yeah, so many stuff, but also wood and ceramic mugs with personal engraving. So
very cool. So I think what we'll start doing, because we had a really good question last week, is what's the weirdest thing you've ever engraved or have seen engraved? So I think we're going to ask that to every special guest that comes in. So Stefan, what is the weirdest thing that you've engraved or seen engraved?
What is strange? A marriage proposal on a Nivea can.
On a Nivea, like
a face screen.
Wow.
Special. It's on time. Must deliver it in Paris in a hotel at Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. It's a very, very hard job, but yeah, we did it.
Wow.
It is strange. Yeah, I think so. It is strange to engrave a ball paint pen for $2,800. Is it strange? Is it strange to engrave 40 iPads at the same time in one machine, or 6 MacBook Pros?
Wow.
Is it strange?
So you said a $2,000 engraving on a pen?
No, it's a pen who costs $2,800.
Oh, I see. It's a $2,000 pen. Wow.
Very special pen.
Write a name on it.
Wow.
So
do you get them to sign any waiver just in case you damage something really expensive like that? It's so what kind of safety do you have for yourself in case something happens, right?
Yeah, of course I got insurance. So if I get a wrong engraving on an iPhone or iPad, so I have to grab the insurance. There's no problem. A problem is when the customer sent to me the products, and they're sometimes very special, handmade or expensive, or for Porsche, we did prototypes engraving. So Porsche get own laser machines, but in the phase where the prototypes are going, they need one single engraving or this or that, and yeah, you can't say how much this is cost, so we do it.
Actually, it's one question we want to ask. I guess we want to have a general questions for each new special guest that come on. So, I mean, in general, would you have any advice for people, for new laser users on, we always get this question, how do I price jobs? Or like, what is, I mean, without going into the secrets of it, if there's any kind of general advice you can give for people for how you guys usually price or quote jobs, or where does it come from?
Yeah, it comes from learning by doing, and you do things for too low prices, and you do things for high prices, and says, oh, that's funny, it's functional. The customer pays, so everyone pays. So it's how calculate something. So
it's more just with practice, you think?
Yes, it's only practice. What is the customer price to pay? So look around and what can we do to engrave, and what is the customer to pay? So basically, you can say, also, I started in 2007 with the calculation €1 for 1 laser engraving minute.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so €1 more each minute to prepare the job for engraving. So you get 120 euros each hour for working, and I think that's a good base on to sell something. So otherwise you have it's a how much quantity it's offered. It's a business or a private customer. What is the customer right to sell? So that's the basic. So if you got a new product, you no one have it on the place, so just put it on the market and let the customers discuss to what they pay. So go up with the prices, go lower with the prices, and look what is the customers want to pay. I got products they won't sell for this price I want, so I stop it.
You mostly, I see, like you started with engraving iPads and iPhones. What percentage would you say now your business is with, iPads and iPhones?
Now?
Yeah, like just generally, like
since 4 or 5 years, just only a business for schools, for universities, for private schools do this, and so about 8,000, 10,000 pieces each year. It's just always the same. It's the logo or envirology number. So it's an easy job, and the quantity is high. For private users, they don't sell anymore. But that was how I started. And
from electronics, right.
Yeah. Also the iPads and iPods, iPhones.
Yeah, the reason I asked, we also have a question from Tyler about that. If you don't mind, what powers do you use on the back of iPads and iPhones? I've never tried it. I guess I can ask first this question to maybe Mike or James. I mean, when you guys were doing electronics, what general power would you suggest for customers?
Well, Apple normally uses a really good anodized coating, so you don't need a lot of power. I mean, that's always the biggest problem with anodizing sometimes is you get some really cheap anodizing and you get some really good anodizing, and Apple uses a very good anodizing, so you don't need a lot of power. Again, you can see Stefan's got a couple of Speed Marker 300s in the back there. Are you using those for the iPads, or are you still using the 300?
Just the 360.
360, yeah.
Yes. It's
okay.
50% of power. So about 40 watt.
Yeah.
Just always be cautious about the warranty. Some of those products, if you try to engrave or do anything on them, it kind of voids the warranty. But it really all depends. But I'm pretty sure Stefan would know more about it. So.
I got a great discuss with Apple Europe in 2009 about the warranty, and the point of the engraving is I don't sell Apple products with an engraving. So Apple says don't sell products with an engraving. So the customer buys the iPad or iPod, sends it to me, and I engrave it. So that's not a warranty disclaimer. So I can say after 30 years engraving Apple iPods, and there's no problem with this guarantee. Meanwhile, the Apple has in disclaimer, AGBs disclaimer, no? That they the product. There's no problem.
Mute James.
Sorry, Stefan. It was. Go ahead.
Okay. Apple changed the warranties. If your iPad engraved and it's damaged, so Apple replaced the product, but without an engraving from a third party. So Apple accepts the engraving, and the warranty doesn't have any problems. So
that's interesting.
Don't have problems since 13 years to engraving this product, or HP or Lenovo or anything. There's no problem. So
you're not gonna.
It's all, and we don't change the product itself. We don't put it on or just engraving. It's like a scratching. So nice scratching. Okay.
Hey, Elev, if I can add to the power setting for iPods, like Mike's right, most of those equipments are have a anodized aluminum backing. So for anodized aluminum, always obviously you want to go fast, right? Depending on the volume. So you want to go 100% speed, and then depending on the laser power, you play around with your power. Like if you have an 80 watt, maybe start with a 20 watt power and then incrementally go up. Don't start high, because once you overburn something, that's irreversible. So just make sure you start low and incrementally go maybe 5 watt every run.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stefan, are you using a fiber on your 360, or are you using the CO2 to mark these anodized parts?
Just the CO2.
Yeah, you always want to use the CO2 because you don't want to break the anodized coating, which you would.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a nice white finish, and with the flex or the faser engraving, it will be brown and not really like shiny white.
Awesome. I guess we can move on to one of the priority questions. This one's from Alex out of the Woodlands in Texas. I don't know what that is, but I would like to get your recommendation for which software photo engraving software works best with Trotec. Example, ULS One Touch, Engrave Labs, Photo Laser Plus, Photographs. So I think we talked about some of this last week in terms of photo engraving. Mike, I think you mostly just use Corel.
Well, yeah, I've used all. I mean, I've used all 4 of those, right? I mean,
what would you recommend?
In the testing that I did, I mean, Engrave Labs, Photo Laser, Photograve, Corel Draw.
It doesn't have to be one of those ones. I mean, it could be just like, what general software would you recommend for photo engraving?
Well, I normally just use Corel Draw. I tend to find that the one-touch photo is a little bit better. Typically, I found because they don't use an air dithering. They use they use the screen pattern on there. So, but I like to use Corel Draw because it's good. I don't have any problems with it. The problem with one touch is it's like it says, one touch. I mean, you have no adjustment at all in it, right? Photo Laser Plus and Photograve have adjustments in there. So again, you have the ability to make changes within the software and everything like that. The Photograve software is a little bit nice because it does put the material backgrounds there. But again, I tend not to find that they work very well because wood grain has so many different looks that to me, I never really found it very advantageous. I tend to find with photograving that any one of the problem with these softwares is everybody thinks you can buy it and you're just going to get a good, like if you just press a button and you get a finished product that looks great. And there's so many other things that go into a photo in terms of getting good quality, good lighting, what type of material you're going on and everything like that, that so many times people buy this software thinking it's going to work every time, and it doesn't. And so I tend to like Corel Draw because it, you know, it forces people to know the process that's involved, so that when they need to make an adjustment to the photo, they know what they're doing. That's why I typically like to use Corel Draw. The algorithms in there, the Jarvis Stucky, are very good. They're the same ones that you'll find in the Trotec process options in the print drivers. So I'm a big Corel Draw fan. I like to use it. But again, any one of the other four there, they're gonna do the job. You're gonna have to do the job in those programs and then bring them back. Well, except for Photo Laser Plus, the other two, you're gonna have to bring that finished photo back into Corel and then print it from there. Photo Laser Plus, you don't, because you can print directly from that program. Mm-hmm. So.
I like to use the in Trotec's job control, the photo optimize mode, and just like Mike said, use Corel Draw. In a lot of cases, you're not doing a ton to the photo before you send it in, especially if you're using like anodized aluminum or something like that. As we're on the topic of anodized aluminum, you don't need to do a ton to the photo before you print it, and then you use the photo optimize mode in job control, and I find it works, you know, pretty much all the time, very easily.
Yeah. See, an anodized aluminum, I would always use a dithered mode, and see, I would never use an air diffusion photograph on anodized aluminum. I'd always use a dithered mode, and then I'd work with the shades of gray, because to me, you know, especially on an iPad, or if you're thinking, we're talking about iPads and all, the anodizing is so good. Your best quality photo is always going to be in dithered mode. So any one of those four processes down there you wouldn't even use on anodized aluminum. I'm not a big fan of air diffusion on anodized aluminum or plastic or something. I normally just use I normally use a dithered mode, which is giving you the shades of gray, which to me is always the best quality photo.
What do you mean by dithered mode, Mike? Do you mean the screen mode?
Yeah, like it's just gonna it basically takes the grays and it tries to reproduce the grayscale image on the actual product. So when you're running with Corel or any, like you said, somebody's got here like Stucky or anything like that, what that's doing is it's actually removing the shades of gray in the image. So it's removing a certain amount of detail in the product. And that's normally good on things like wood or glass, where you can't see the shades of gray. But on things like anodized aluminum and plastic, you can actually get away with showing those shades of gray. So normally in the process option, I would normally just leave it on dithered, run at 600 DPI.
You mean ordered, right? Not dithered? Ordered?
Yeah, sorry, the order. Yeah, the order.
Okay, I didn't ever see dithered, and I thought I was missing.
Sorry, the order dithering, the ordered mode. Yes.
Stefan, I see you guys have a lot of photo engraving on anodized and iPads and all sorts of stuff. What do you use? Any specific program or like?
No, nothing. No special program. No special settings. The one I do is I send the job in color, not in grayscale, to job control. That's the only one. So I got more bits. In grayscale, you have 8 bits. And if you send the job to job control in color, I have the feeling just better.
So you're just using the photo optimize process on the job control, and then you just send the colored picture on job control.
Import to Corel Draw, grab the size, send it to the job control.
Wow. Okay, that's photo optimized. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, see, the problem with the photo optimize, it's always converting it to black and white.
Oh, okay.
Right? So, you know, if you're going into a Stucky type mode or something like that. So
well, the fruit is in the pudding. Look at all those those
No, I
pictures
mean,
in there. So that's that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of it too is you know, your photo selection with your client, right? So make sure it's garbage in, garbage out. There's only so much you can do with a photograph. If you start with a good photograph, you'll get a good result. Otherwise, you spend hours and hours editing it. And you know, when a client pulls out a picture off his wallet and it's all banged up and expects you to get a really nice result like that, so you better make sure that you're charging enough for your computing time, right?
Yes. It's a basic point. Yes.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you see the photo is not good, just stop working with this photo. You can't do with a 7.2 dpi photo high resolution engraving. It doesn't work. And when you spend hours and hours in working with the property, it doesn't work. So,
and it's not working.
You need a great or a good one photo for engraving.
Yeah, I mean, that's so important. I mean, we've been promoting, like I said I don't know, last week or the week before, is that, you know, I go back because I'm a dinosaur, as everybody always lets me know. If you go back, I mean, we go back into the logo vectoring programs and everything like that, and even photo. I mean, garbage in, garbage out, and that's the problem with some of these programs. You know, where people think that they can go out and buy a plug-in or a program like One Touch or whatever, and it's just, you just put it in there and boom, you get something beautiful.
No.
You don't, because it's only going to be beautiful if what you put in is beautiful.
Yes.
Right. And that's why I always tell people the first step that you always do is assess the photograph that you get from the customer before you commit to doing it. Because if you can, once you commit to doing it, you're in that area of no return. And I'm sure Stefan can probably, I just heard him say spending hours and hours and hours, which says to me that he's been down that road like I have been, and counseling.
I have a lot of hours spending with photos to get it in the best quality, and no, I don't do this anymore. It's wasted time. A customer don't pay this time. So let it.
Okay. I guess we can move on from photos. We got a next question from Les out of Thorndale, Ontario. And he doesn't have any lasers or anything like that. And he's asking, is Flex worth the money? So again, Stefano, you have a Flex laser. What is your Flex again?
360.
360 Flex?
80 watt CO2 and 20 watt Flex fiber. So
I guess you're unbiased. I know there's obviously, you have 5 Trotex. There's going to be some bias there, but for you, I mean, what do you use the Flex for? Why did you buy the Flex, and was it worth it really in the end?
The question is a good question, and I have this question also in 2010, 2011. I got the Speedy 300 CO2, and I want to upgrade to a Flex, but it costs so much that I can buy another Speedy 100 fiber too. Since about years, 2040, I need this one, because I have 2 customers, business customers, who sent me the products, and I do the engraving for that. So it's a clean canteen, it's bottles from stainless steel, and I need a rotary, and the height of the engraving is till 170 millimeters. So it doesn't work with a Speedmark, or with Speedmark 300 it doesn't work. So I need a machine, a speedy with fiber. So I got the 360 flex, and it's a great machine. You can do it's not the same. You use the CO2 and the fiber based on one time, but it's you need one machine
for both applications, basically.
Built to both. So it's a.
So you don't often use one application with both CO2 and fiber. It's more you need.
Yes, I need this one and I need this one.
Right.
And I got one machine, and so less plates worth. So I always speedy. I would always buy a speedy with the flex. I learn to upgrade in machine is the hard way. So you have less money, and so you don't buy the rotary. You buy a 60 watt or not an 80 watt, but in the time you need it. Once you got an order to engrave bottles and you don't have a rotary, so I can buy it to upgrade, but it's very expensive. So my opinion is, if I bought a new speedy, it were always in flex. So the price between a CO2 and the flex is minimal. And you opened also a market you don't know. So if you have the hardware, you can sell your products, and you don't know what is in 1 year and a half year. Yeah. You buy a CO2 machine, and 1 day later you get an email with a big order to engrave stainless steel, and you say, it's too late. So my opinion is always
go with flex.
Invest always in a higher.
That's interesting, and I could actually, Anita, if I wanted to ask you, in the DACH region, I know there's more, I guess, demand for, maybe not demand, maybe demand is not the right word, but what kind of industries would generally buy flex machines in the DACH region, like in your opinion, from what you've been seeing?
Well, from my knowledge from the past 7 months, it could be the job shoppers, like Stefan is one. So, like Stefan already said, if you have a laser once, there will come business that you maybe didn't have in mind before.
Yeah.
And maybe it could be the main market segment of these job shoppers, or those we tell them, everybody who started in a garage, who started their business in a garage, and is going to grow his business. So because it's maybe worth the invest,
Right.
and you can expand the products.
Right. I mean, do you see more customers in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, maybe for entry level, when they're just like their first machine? Do you see that happening, that where they go right with the flex? I mean, more often than, I mean, I guess I can ask our guys to answer for Canada, but in Germany, Switzerland, Austria, do you see that happening more often, or they would get a CO2 first and then they would kind of upgrade?
No, I don't think it's that way. I think they start with the small machine, like Stefan did, and everybody tries to find out by himself. I don't know, really, honestly.
I can open that up to Canada. What do you guys I mean, from your experience with laser machines, I guess guys would usually start with a CO2 and then work their way up to a flex, unless they have a very specific, fiber application.
Yeah, I mean, like I go back to the Stefan talking about the rotary attachment. And it's certainly something that I always tell people, try to get them to buy, because the problem with the rotary attachment is that you're always going to wait for that big order to come in before you can justify in your mind that you're going to buy this thing, right? So what you end up doing is you watch all these 30, 50, 100 quantity orders go by because you're going, I can't really afford, can't really justify it. Then you get the one big order, then you order the rotary attachment, and then you're going, how do I use this thing? I get this order's got to be out next week. How do I use this, right? So you can sort of make that a point with, with anything that, that you can buy. I mean, the question is, you can't develop a market without the machine. And I appreciate you can't buy the machine without the market, right? And it's always a bit of a catch-22, when you're looking at it. So, but Stefan makes a very good point, and the market's not there if you don't have the equipment.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, is flex worth the money then for Canada? Like James or Mike or Mel? What?
Water seeks its own level, right? I mean, when you have the equipment that in your shop, you're going to naturally start to look for the opportunities that are available to you. You have a flex machine, so you're going to notice things in the environment, as you walk around to different shops or customers. You're going to notice things that you can possibly do with this new equipment. And this isn't just for a flex machine. This is for any other piece of equipment that you have. If you don't have a UV printer, you're not going to start looking around for UV printer jobs. It's just super simple. So if you have the flex machine, you're going to notice, oh, I could do that on a flex. I could do this on a flex. I could do this. And you won't truly know what you can do unless you look at all of Lev's amazing videos. But if you don't have 700 hours on you, you start playing with your machine, and you start looking at oh, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And the more you play with it, the more creative you're going to become. Now you have a skill set, a new skill set, so that when you walk out into the industry or when you're visiting a customer, you can say, hey, you know what? I can do that. And now you've just made money with your flex machine. If you hide behind your initial investment and keep that low, you're going to have the opportunities of that only. You won't have the opportunities for a flex machine. So water does seek its own level in that case.
That's really good, Jim. Yeah, it's always been my favorite discussion is the flex during the sales cycle, because I always ask people, what are you looking for? Are you looking for a job or a business, right? Yes. In the population, I would say about 90% of people own CO2 only machine. So do you want to be part of that 90%, or you want to be that elite 10% that can do everything? Yeah. Right. So it's plain and simple. How aggressive you want to grow your business, or you just want to, like a daily thing that you can do and probably supply. Again, do you either want a job or you want a business? That's what I always tell people.
Yeah, and for those, if you guys are new to the laser industry, you don't know anything about lasers. So can anyone give a brief explanation? Maybe James, what is a flex machine?
A flex machine, yeah. If you don't know what a flex machine is, it's not a rubber machine that you can bend around things like some people think. What it is we have a CO2 laser, which does all the glass and the wood and the paper and the cardboard and the food and the human skin, as Mike was mentioning earlier. But what it also has is another laser tube, and it's a fiber laser tube. And this fiber laser, it works in a different wavelength altogether. And you're not going to do as much plastic, although there are some really awesome applications for plastic. You're not going to do, things like wood, and you're not going to be cutting all sorts of plastic with it. But what it does is it rounds out the product offering that you can you can give. Now you can be engraving metal, actually ablating the surface of metal. You can be marking industrial plastics with it. You can be, you know, there's a lot of different really weird applications, like shooting through a piece of glass to release paint or some kind of coating underneath. You can use the fiber for doing different sort of chemical deposition as well into materials. So there's a lot more you can do with it, and it really does round out your product.
Yeah, and for the I thought something really cool with the Flex was the Troglass mirrored acrylic, I think it was. So if you use, I think we showed that in a couple of videos. If you use the CO2, you can engrave the top layer of the mirrored acrylic, which is extruded acrylic, and it comes in this kind of like a clear engraving. But if you turn to a fiber, you can dissolve it. It goes through the clear acrylic and dissolves that like bottom little film with the fiber laser, and you don't have to flip it over or anything like that. You could just put it all in one job, and it basically dissolves the film at the bottom, so you can spray paint. So you could do like a reverse acrylic with the Troglass mirror. So I thought that was a really cool thing with the fiber. Okay, we keep going with the questions here. This one's from Quinn out in Wasaga Beach, Ontario. Sorry, this was a big question, so I had to cut it down. Like many, my business is struggling. Sales have almost halted. I'm trying to pivot to make shields. Sorry, I'm just trying to. Yeah, I'm trying to pivot to make shields for healthcare workers and general public who wants them. I don't think I can cut 6 mil acrylic like suggested in the video, or shields, and wondering if you'll be coming out with an alternative template. So I guess we could generally talk about what's going on right now, obviously with COVID. I hope, I think everyone has some kind of COVID fatigue at this point. We're sick of hearing about it, but it's there, and it's very impactful to our business. I guess my first question would be to Anita. I mean, in Austria, I know things are getting opened up. What's the situation right now in Austria and Germany with COVID?
Well, I don't have the feeling that in Austria everything is opening up. Within Austria by itself, of course, the shops and again are open, everything, but the borders are still closed. But in my opinion, Germany and Switzerland are not that shut down like Austria has been. So basically, business in Germany and in Switzerland is like almost before COVID pandemic. Wow. It's very, a lot of job to do.
And what about Stefan? I mean, I know you said you don't do anything for PPE because you're so busy. I mean, but have you seen what was the impact of COVID for you guys? I mean, or maybe your colleagues in the industry that you know of?
Yeah, I got big customers, business, and there are many big orders who canceled. Of course, the festivals and the big parties in the summer. There's hundreds and thousands of pieces I want to engrave. So we prepare 3 months in front, and so that's the problem. In July, August, all the festivals are canceled, and this business is a big business, and it's not to be this year. So I have a lot. It's not the private customer, it's the business customers who fall out of my business. And it costs many times and also many money. Okay, but don't have it this year. So we concentrate on the customers, the private customers, and there are many more. It's doubled in the last 3-4 4 weeks, they have ordered. Say, okay, it's a lockdown. The customers sit at home and order online. So they don't go in the shoppings because they are closed. So we have the end customers where we grow up in the last 4 weeks, and the business customers also going down. And so it's a half-half. And actually it worked, but I don't know what is in 3 months. So we prepare in front 3 months.
Right. And I mean, have you seen any decline in the web? What you're like, you have, I see you have a web shop. Do you see any decline in the web shop business as well at this point?
Yeah, it's much more.
Oh, it's more. Okay.
Yeah,
So more people are buying on
yes.
the website. That's interesting.
Yes.
And guys in Canada, I mean, what are you guys hearing from customers? I know we're going to have a global COVID webinar next week on Tuesday with 8 different customers around the world, and asking them how COVID affected them. But I mean, what are you guys, I guess, hearing from customers at this point in Canada? I mean, is not everyone obviously turned to PPE production, but I mean, they either close shop or turn to PPE, or what are you guys seeing?
Well, it's interesting here because
can you just quickly post the new YouTube video of that PPE shield that we did without the 6-inch acrylic? I think that's what the guy was asking.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he wants to know because he doesn't have powerful laser. So the point. Oh, it's a lady. I'm sorry. Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, the using just the 0.007 PET that we.
If you go to our YouTube channel and just scroll down, we actually made 3 different designs. So the very first video we did was this one, which was the 0.018. But yeah, there is a 0.007 and a 0.018, like a newer one without the acrylic headband that we did. So this is basically where you can find the videos.
Yeah, that one works really well. But I'm interested that Quinn had said that she's not getting a lot of business because she's online, like she sells a lot online. So, I have heard from some other people that they are getting busy. But again, they may be starting out from nothing and then going up. But she does have a pretty good online business. So I'm surprised that she's not getting, her business is down a lot. So.
Right. I want to just quickly reply to this comment. So we have like over 100 questions for priority questions. So I go one by one. There's nobody pays us to answer questions or anything like that. So if you've put in a question, I promise you it will get answered in one of the shows. You can always ask questions here live on the chat, but if you put priority question, we're definitely going to address it. So just a quick comment on that. Sorry, James, were you going to say?
No, I was saying just watching recently a customer who received one of our new Speedy 400s with the OptiMotion, cutting that thin material. They had a Speedy 400, just a regular Speedy 400 before this, and they've.
Oh, James got stuck.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Am I cutting out here? Oh, there. And it's okay. And the difference between what they were doing beforehand with the old 400 was fast. It was maybe 2 minutes for an entire bed full of PET shields. We got that number down with the new Speedy 400 to 30 seconds a bed. And when you have 15,000 of these things to make, it makes a massive difference having that kind of speed on your side. So there are people who do have thousands and thousands of orders of these things, and there are people who are confused at how to get them. And there really is. I don't have any magic wand to say this is how you do it, but keep yourself plugged into the business world. The people who are using these, it's not just for doctors, it's for food service, the people who make like industrial food, like your you know, McCain's or something like this. There's tons of people working there, and they all need shields to produce food.
Yeah, and that's what we'll talk about next week. I mean, even if the ban is lifted tomorrow, and let's say they opened all the airports and all the borders tomorrow, I mean, they're still going to be ordering the sneeze guards, the face shields for restaurants, for bars. I mean, it's not. It's gonna the ripple effect is gonna be, I think, for a long time, and affect the industry, for all industries. For
look at all the acrylic everybody's been buying. I mean, you know, you go and buy something now, you got an acrylic shield around the person, and you're going through a little opening, you know, to pay your credit card or whatever. So every retail operation is going to have something like that in it, right? So, you know, there's going to be huge demand on acrylic. There's going to be a huge demand to cut that acrylic to make those sort of products for everybody. And we're just touching the surface now because there's not a lot of businesses that are open right now. So once they open up, there's going to be a lot of different things. And just to go back to Quinn, she can cut 6 millimeter. I believe she has a 60-watt system, so she can cut 6 millimeter acrylic. So.
Okay. Yeah, it's a 360 watt.
Yeah. 10 watts for every millimeter, so 6 millimeters fine.
Okay. I don't know why we get questions about honeycomb beds every single week. We've already discussed it last week, so we're not going to get too deep into it. But maybe I'll ask Stefan, how do you clean your honeycomb bed?
I'm putting in the car and driving to the next car wash. We have bikes here.
Told you.
Where you can wash your car by yourself, and with a high pressure cleaner.
Oh, so with a power wash, high pressure.
Yeah, put it on the engine setting because that's hot water.
No, it's
okay. Well, that question was from Daniel out of Stoke in the UK. And actually, one thing about the acrylic, we're trying to bring into Canada. I know the US has it as well. 0.12 inch impact acrylic. So it's the same impact acrylic we use for the face shield, but it's going to be thicker. So it's almost a 1/8. So we are going to have that available. We have that available already. So if you guys are looking to purchase it, I know we're out of 3 mil acrylic until June, in Canada at least. So we're going to have that as an alternative, and it basically works like extruded acrylic. So you're not going to get that crisp white when you engrave it. It's going to be like clear engraving. But if you're just using it for sneeze guards, you don't really need it. So let us know if you're looking for 1/8 inch acrylic replacement for that. We'll have that available.
And Lev, the key to getting those business really is all about networking. So you just gotta, there's no sugarcoating this. Everything is declining, right? So you have to work hard. You really need to talk to people, go out there and find out, because, you know, the biggest item right now that's in high demand is those PPEs. Like Mike was saying, like we have a surge of orders for acrylic. So you need to find out who these people are that are using this and get those orders. You can't just wait for things to get better because we don't have the vaccine for this thing. So the only next logical thing for people to do is learn how to cope with this thing. So, and that's safety. Right, it's all about safety right now, and that's where everything is leading towards to fabrication of shields, fabrication of these guards for the cashiers, like all businesses. So there's tons of those. There's millions out there if you just go out and find them.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
Yeah.
We're almost. We got about 7 minutes left until the hour. Next question is from Marco out of.
Lev, sorry, just to throw something out. Something just popped into my mind.
What's up?
If you're using the 0.018 impact acrylic, is it extruded?
Yeah, well, it's not. They said it works like extruded, and it's not as like sturdy as the 3 mil cast acrylic, but like it's more bendy.
Yeah,
it's still
what I'm asking is, if you engrave it, does it turn white?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
We didn't test it yet, but it turns, the impact acrylic turns clear.
Okay, because I was going to say maybe people start selling personalized masks.
I've seen them already, actually, on social media, and like out of Italy and Spain. I mean, they do all this crazy logo.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to make a video in the future for the sneeze guard, but with, like, you know, if a restaurant, actually this idea came from Trotec Spain. We had a meeting about this yesterday, and they were saying how they want to make logos. So like let's say Budweiser branded for a restaurant. Like if you have a sneeze guard that's branded, I think that's really cool. And then we want to promote that idea. So we'll definitely do something.
I think personalization is a great way to do this stuff, because if you can get away with personalization, then you're up on everybody else. You'll be able to sell less quantity, but make
I mean, even if you can't engrave this stuff, you can always buy Trolleys metallics, you know, cut it out and glue it right on top, kind of thing, right?
You want to make sure you're using your own mask or sneeze guard, right? So you need to put your name on it.
If you put your own name on it, then
or engrave your face on it. See, even if you're not wearing it, your face is still on there.
Okay, so I think we'll have one last question here from Marco out of Quito, Ecuador. They have a speedy 560 watt over 10 years. The cost of maintenance, again, we have this almost every week, question for cost of maintenance. So maybe I can ask Stefan, like, what is your, again, not in dollar value, maybe, I don't want to give anything away, but, you know, for, I guess, percentage of time or spent on maintenance cost, what can you talk about with your lasers?
Finally, I got the trocar on the machine. So it's based, the price is the machine older, so you pay more. Huh?
Right. Yeah.
So I use the trocar for my machines. And the maintenance, in the beginning, I calculate €1 a day. So I think, meanwhile, if you work 8 hours or 10 hours a day with normal material, not like wood. Wood is very dirty, or organic materials. They use the filters more. So I think you can calculate to euros a day of working for maintenance. That's, yeah, I think it's a good part, each machine.
Okay, that's a good point. Anybody want to add to that in terms of, I guess, cost of maintenance? Any advice or anything you want to add for cost of maintenance?
Well, you're making boatloads of money, or at least you should be, with this equipment. You know, preparing for that unexpected eventuality is always a good idea. The worst thing that can happen is you can use it to buy another machine later on when you get really, really busy. But I always, as Stefan says, have a contingency fund. I mean, you know, these machines do last a long time. We're very, very good at making a machine with great longevity, but it's a piece of electromechanical equipment. I mean, things do happen. And, you know, warranties are awesome. And we have a very strong warranty, you know, and that covers you for a very long time. And, you know, after those 2 years, you've got many, many years left without problems. But again, you have to, and it's not just your laser that you have to worry about too. It's other equipment as well. So having a contingency for breakdowns of pretty much anything is always a good idea.
Yes.
Yeah, the trocar is actually a great idea. Yeah. So make sure you guys talk to your the technical support representatives in your area and ask about trocar. They are worth it.
It's a great thing. Of course, it's a yearly Wartung maintenance of the machine.
Maintenance, yeah.
Maintenance of the machine. So if you have a problem, you get in a short time you will be on the market and produce. And I think that's a good point to be safe of your work. If your machine doesn't run, you don't earn money. If you don't have a grill, you can't sell shields. So save your basics.
I always say to people, that dust is your enemy in these machines. Okay, so if you're working with a dusty material such as rubber stamps, then you're going to be doing a lot more cleaning, a lot more maintenance than if you're sitting there doing anodized aluminum all day.
Yeah.
Right? So the question really becomes, what are you doing? And you need to clean your machine. You need to have a good exhaust, because you've got to get that dust out of the machine. And again, if you have a very dusty product, you need to be checking your lenses and you need to check your lens, not your lenses, your lens and your mirrors on a regular basis. And that could be a couple times a day for some products. So again, the cost of maintenance sometimes is going to be dictated by what you're doing. I can remember having one guy that did PVC, and I remember looking at his motion system, and I said to the guy, I said, "Did you guys leave this motion system outside?" Because it was like rusted. Like, I could not believe how much rust was on this thing. And I asked the rep, and he said, the guy knows it's the cost of doing business. Okay, so he understood, but a lot of people don't understand. But you need to keep that machine clean, right?
And the money you must have. So yeah, only the customers must be paid for you. So
you don't go
it's easy calculation. You need the machine, you need the manpower, you need the filters, you need everything. You need a computer. So who pays? It's the customer. So it's all included of the calculation you do. What does it cost to sell anything? So that's the basics.
Yeah, Lev, before we sign off, there's one question. There's a question here on the screen.
Yeah, I wanted to do that for the last question.
I'll answer that quickly because it goes back to the photo engraving, which I think is where this is coming from. I mean, normally we sell anodized aluminum here. We sell silver, we sell black. And again, it's a great place to start playing around with photographs.
It's much cheaper than an iPad.
Sorry?
Cheaper than an iPad.
Well, no, exactly, and that's what they're asking, right?
Yeah.
Again, certainly anodized aluminum. I do a lot of my testing on anodized aluminum, and when you're testing, number one rule is mark everything that you. Yeah, there you go. Mark everything that you laser engrave, right? So if you use a certain power and speed, write it down with a marker or put a piece of tape on there and write it down, because there's a lot of times where we do that. See, exactly. Stefan's got it, right? Like, do your tests, keep your record what you've used, so that when you come back, because I can tell you right now, I used to be the worst at doing this, where I do like 10 pieces and I throw them in a pile, and then I say, I think that fourth one was pretty good, and I go back to the pile and I can never remember what I did, right? So mark down on it what you do, but certainly anodized aluminum is cheap to buy. And again, if you want to do iPads and everything, you can practice on that, because everybody doesn't realize that when you go from silver to you have to invert the image a lot of times. People don't even realize that. You don't want to realize that once you start lasering an iPad or something like that. This is going to be expensive. So,
yeah.
Awesome. So I think we lost James. Unfortunately, his laptop, he got disconnected. So he said thanks you for everything. But he'll be back next week. I think we'll end it there. I guess I just want to say big thank you to Anita and Stefan for being here. I think it's important to have all our friends from around the world, customers and colleagues to. I think that's where one of our strengths is Trotec. We have so much talent, so many great customers around the world. So we're going to try to get more from all areas of the globe. But thank you so much, guys. We appreciate it. Leave your comments and questions, and we'll get to them. And see you again next week. And Stefan, you guys don't have to log off. We're just gonna end the stream there. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.